Yo, what's up? Audio okay? Starting off Pride Month with some Lily Allen. I feel like that's appropriate. Wrong mic. Can't have anything go my way. Sounds good. I think it's the wrong one. I love when you guys communicate different things. Device. How about this? Is this okay? Did this fix it, hopefully? There we go. All right, cool. Look at that. Look at that. Are you kidding me? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? What? Frame one mic fix? What a life. And I'm very grateful to all you guys that you've chosen to celebrate your Pride Month with me. It's a really brave decision of you. Where is it better? There's a thread on Twitter that always cracked me up of like, someone found my Apple Music and started going through it, and then everyone started calling me gay, which is like, maybe a more fragile person would like fight against that and be like upset. But I think like, I don't know, like, isn't that part of my like quirky appeal that I'm straight and listen to music like this? I don't know how to. I was trying to figure out a better way of saying that, and that's what I landed on. Isn't that like, like if I were to be gay, which would have been awesome, I feel like that would have been, the music taste would have been far less interesting and cool, right? It means you're evolved, yeah, or everything's a spectrum, one of the two. You know, I feel like I'm that guy on the subway reading the book about feminism, always on page one. It's a rich tapestry, yeah. Yeah, actually, sexuality is not a spectrum. It's more of a rich tapestry. It's a family thing. Oh my God, Dad. What a crazy time to make this confession. You want to dive into it? My dad is so funny. I didn't realize how mentally broken my brain is as a result of my father's parenting style, or more aptly, just my father's personality. We called him when we were going to the Pacers Knicks game, and I thought he'd be excited because it was like, oh my God, you're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5. There's gonna be this big thing. So I told him, I'm like, Dad, yeah, we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's gonna be so cool. He goes, oh God, you're putting a lot of miles on that car. Right before we might sell it. And I'm like, yep, this is the problem. It's the same reason why I demanded we got a hotel near the stadium so I didn't have to drive away from the stadium traffic. Because it's just, my dad trained me. We're like watching hockey. It's 3 periods. In the middle of the second period, he's like, if we leave now, there's not going to be any traffic. I'm like, yeah, but we missed half the game. But that's me. That sounds so dad. I hope you mean like dad parentheses generally, not just calling my dad, which would be weird, Katie. I know you're a mod. But yeah, I assume you mean more so it's like a thing that a dad would do. It's typical dad behavior. It's America's football team. What's up, Noah? America doesn't watch football. She's a Knicks fan. That's kind of her thing. And the Mets in baseball. I'm trying to make her a Cardinals fan. I'm like, shit, why not? Be a Cardinals fan. If you don't have a team, be on mine. Maybe she'll just be a fan of my fantasy team. Daddy Wirt. I don't think I like that. I think that's my least favorite thing I've read in chat ever. Actually, mods, can we ban BB Musics? The Cowboys are America's team. I mean, really, it would be Houston, if anything, which is a pretty fun team to root for, but never see a winning team ever again. She's used to it. She's a Knicks fan and a Mets fan. Jacksonia, thank you for the 18 months. DSE ocho meses, see? Did you check out my season 50 player ranking? I did not. I'll check it out after stream. See how much we agree on. Let's talk about the Reddit first. We always just take a peek. As you guys should know or might know, I'm doing an AMA tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. So if you are Metro in first place, yeah, but it's a recent occurrence. If you are interested in taking part in that, please do. Also, you guys probably do know my opinions on everything, so maybe give that space to the Reddit people who don't know if me and America are still together, for example. But this is happening, so I'm looking forward to this. What recurring comps should be temporarily or permanently banned? The Wall is my number one list, my number one pick. Even if they fix it and make it the same, just like make a different endurance comp. Like I don't know why we got to keep doing the Wall. So the Wall is my first pick to get the fuck out. The one I like the Black Box Haunted House. I think that's a fun one. Keep that shit. OTEV, I get getting rid of OTEV. I kind of enjoy just watching it, but it is very physical and inequitable, so I'd be down to take a year or two off. And then BB Comics is my main one. It's BB Comics and it's The Wall. Those are my two main. I'm just over it. You can make the comics into another competition. It doesn't have to be, the zip line and the putting them in order. I think that's a little bit, tired at this point. So there's all that. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. As close as you can to come to Ghost, not as interesting as people think. Watching people slide stuff on surface to get higher scores but not going too far. This is a great competition, man. This is so good. What do you mean get rid of this? This is so good. This is like the exact competition I want for every HOH. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I think just get rid of the Wall in comics. I'd be happy. Who would win if the eventual winner placed third and the actual second? Okay, so they're just moving first place to third, and then the second and third are the final two. Nicole versus Monica. This is wrong, right? Monica wins this. Thank you, JPR, for gifting Drow with a scatty, I think. But thank you for the gift, JPR. I appreciate you. Good to see you around. So I think Monica probably wins this, right? Jason definitely wins this. I think Allison and Allison and June lose this. I think all of these are wrong so far, right? I think we're 0 for 3. Am I crazy? Diane probably wins. Janelle, it's kind of ambiguous if Janelle wins here. Janelle definitely wins here. So I think so far we're pretty. I think Janelle loses season 6, which is kind of funny, but I think she loses. Danielle, no, Zach wins this too, dude. What is happening? Sheila, I don't know, BB9, sure. Memphis, if it's Memphis versus Jerry definitely wins. Dude, what happened here? This is not that hard of an assignment. Kevin probably wins. I think Enzo... Does Enzo beat Lane? I don't know. I think this is pretty ambiguous. I'm not sure because it's hard to say because Lane didn't get that many real votes. I think Lane would win, is my impression. Portia would win, would beat Spencer, or not Spencer, Adam. Sorry, I'm sure that happens all the time to everyone. Danielle beats Dan for sure. Spencer, they got Spencer beating Gina Marie, I guess, yeah. Cody beating Victoria, probably. Vanessa beating Liz. Paul beating James, yep. Paul beating Christmas. I would bet a good amount of money that Christmas wins this spot, right? Why would Christmas lose to Paul and Josh beat Paul? That doesn't make sense to me. Tyler against JC. Does Tyler win that? I don't think so. I think JC wins, which is kind of funny. But I think he literally, of his 7 final twos, he took the 2 people he loses to. Taryn thinks JC wins. I just think if they're voting Casey over Tyler, there's a good shot they vote JC over Tyler. And JC, for what it's worth, probably can tell a better story and explain a better game than Casey. Bailey votes for Tyler. Maybe. I don't know. I think this is very close. Holly against Nicole A. Does Nicole A lose? Is that right? I don't really remember. I mean, that jury was all grateful, but grateful kind of hated each other. I think Nicole wins that. Right? I think Nicole wins that. I don't know. Enzo versus Nicole Franzel. Absolutely not. Nicole Franzel smokes Enzo. Azza against DF. From our research, everyone beats Derek F in the final two. Monty over Turner. Yeah, probably. Matt over Bowie. Definitely. And then Cam over MJ. No shot. Look, I like you posing the question, Ready Courage. I think you did a bad job here. I think you got like 60% of them wrong. I think this is the part that annoys me. Not super familiar with every season, so okay, all right, hey. That's all I needed to hear. All right, you're just vibing it out. I have no problem with that. No problem with that at all. Yeah, but I think this is all wrong. But interesting thought experience. It's a very Meridian Review type of question. Runner-ups who played better than the winner is a good post if you can find that one. Let's see. I love All-Star casts. Danielle Reyes, Janelle, Jen, Libra, Helen, Rachel, Alyssa, Angela, Will, Dan, Tucker, Zach Rance, Frankie Grande, and Michael. Yeah. It's like this does feel like potentially the most Chat GPT list of all time. Like these were the first internet searches that came up. You know, with like Michael as an exception and like Helen. Like Libra maybe. It would be a crazy... Look, I can clown on it because it's like a stupid, ridiculous cast, but it'd be fun. Yeah, but don't... This is one of those things that's like, maybe it's a little bit true, but stop being a party pooper, you know? Jordan nearly became a 2-time winner. Why isn't she more respected as a player? I think she is respected as much as she should be. It's like, I think everyone recognizes she's pretty good. But without the resume, I don't think people would consider her like an above average player, you know? I think her resume is what props her up. All right, here we go. Runner-ups who played better than the winner. I don't know. I wish they had a list of them up. Danielle better than Lisa for sure. Tyler better than Casey for sure. Nicole better than Will. I disagree with that. I think people blow that out of proportion. I actually feel like I have a decent handle on Big Brother 2. And I just think, like, ultimately, there was too much animosity towards Nicole. I don't know. Vanessa didn't get second. It has to be a runner-up, Matt. Matt versus Jag is just a debate. I don't know. I think most people would say Matt's better, and I think that's a fine opinion to have. I think I probably think that, but it's pretty close. 26, definitely not. 24... Definitely not for me. 23, no. 22, no. 21, no. 20, no. 20, yes. 19, Paul is better than Josh. I think that always frustrates me where it's like, who's better, Paul or Josh? Josh deserved the win. It's like, sure, but that doesn't make Josh a better player than them. You know? I just don't, I think it's hard to watch that season and think Josh is better than Paul. That's kind of crazy to me. Nicole's better than Paul. In 17, Steve's better. In 16, Derek's better. In 15, Andy's better. In 14, Dan's better than Ian, obviously. 13, I still think Rachel's better than Portia, but people disagree. On 12, Hayden's better. 11, Jordan's better. 10, Dan's better. 9, I don't care. 8, Dick is better. 7, Boogie's better. 6, Maggie's better. 5, Drew's better. 4, June's better. 3... Danielle's better than Lisa. And yeah, I think they got the right winner most of the times. I think they got most of them. They didn't bat 1,000, but they did okay. Okay, let's switch gears to Survivor 50. Just a bit of an update. Tomorrow, I will be streaming around this time again, basically just discussing the Reddit AMA, just going through it. That'll be fun. I just thought it'd be an easy stream. I'll answer all the questions off stream. My hair looks so fucking bad. I'm almost self-conscious about it. So we're going to go over the AMA. I'm going to do it offline, but we'll chat about it online. Maybe do some big D attempts, something like that. That's kind of the vibe of the stream. And then no stream on Wednesday. I'm dedicating all of Wednesday to me writing the set for the cruise. That's what I'm doing. So let's talk about Survivor 50, because what I did is I ranked all 22 players that we know of and how I believe their chances are at winning Survivor 50. Now, this is not a player ranking at all. That is not what's happening, okay? We are simply ranking how good with this cast of people in this era, on this season, what are their odds of winning? When do we get For Real? For Real, it's today. It's today. For Real is going to be uploaded tonight, podcast tomorrow. So that's the question. Who has the best chance of winning Survivor 50? Your resume matters in terms of, like, it gives context to how good of a player you are, but it doesn't matter in terms of, like, oh, I have to show respect to this player because, you know, they won season 45, for example, right? Riz got top 3, exactly. Now, here's my question. In your opinion, I want you guys to give me 2 names. Who do you think has the worst chance of winning, and who do you think has the best chance of winning? So first, give me your winner, and then your loser. Kyle, Charlie. Do you think Charlie has the worst chance of winning? Kyle worst, Chrissy best? You guys think Kyle has the worst? Interesting. I've seen Kyle's name come up for both of them, which I think is super interesting. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to discuss. So I'm going to talk about my philosophy, who I believe, or what I believe makes up a player with good chances. So first of all, we have to consider just how good of a player you are. We've seen all these players at least once, some of them twice, some of them 3 times, some of them 4 times, some of them 8 times. We have a lot of data on these people relative to, you know, a normal season, of course. So we're looking at how they are as a player. The second thing, what era did they play in? That matters a lot because Survivor 50, I would assume, much like Survivor 50, much like Survivor 34, much like Survivor 31, I would imagine is going to be kind of twist-infested. I think it's a fair assumption. It's probably going to be formatted like a new era season, so I would expect, quite a few twists. So if you've played in an era with twists, or in my opinion, like I think you could handle it, that's a good thing. Next, pre-gaming. Not really so worried about like exactly what calls went out and who talked to who, but just with this layout of the cast, how well set up are you? A lot of these people know each other. Many of these people have played together. Some of them played together multiple times. That is obviously something that is extremely important to consider. And then there's the basic social strategy, physical stuff. So there's a lot to consider. I'm going to pull up the cast on my phone just so I could have like a reference of players to talk about. So images, beautiful. Okay. Let's do it. Who do you guys think I ranked as the player with the lowest chances of winning Survivor 50? I think this is, in my opinion, was not a difficult choice to make at all. We voted no advantages to help old school. We'll see what they do. We'll see. I see a D. I see Q. Mike White. The name I see the most is the name I chose coming in at number 22. I've got Benjamin Coach Wade. Coach. Now, Coach is not one of the worst players in Survivor history. I think what he did in South Pacific is bordering on impressive. But he's Coach. He's a huge eccentric character that hasn't played in 13 years. He was never very good at the game, and now he's coming in a spot where I don't know if he has any friends, really. He's played with people on here as villains, but like not really. It's like all the heroes tribe is here. Colby's here, Stephanie's here, Suri's here. He hasn't played with them. He obviously has a relationship with Ozzy, but that was somewhat adversarial. I don't think there's like a ton of beef there, but like I don't think that's like a great connection for him by any means. So like he's gonna be with the old school people, but I don't think the old school people very much like him. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of him. I think the new school people have a lot of reasons to dislike him if they've been clocked in on social media. So, like, he can make it deep. I agree, Andrew. Like, I don't think that's a fear. He might not be the first boot, even though he very well could be. I just don't see him winning. I don't see much. Coach doesn't like Ozzy. I kind of figured. Maybe friendly with Charlie through Ben. That might be one of his best connections, to be honest, which is a problem. So it's like, could he get dragged far as a GOAT? Maybe. I think there's a couple people who can fill that spot a little bit better than him. And even if he does get there as a GOAT and loses, well, that doesn't do anything for his winning chances. So, like, I don't see much path for Coach. On every single, like, tier you can check off, he's in trouble. He hasn't played with this level of, like, advantages and idols and the new era format and the swaps. He doesn't have that experience. He also doesn't have good connections on the cast. He also is not a strong player. So, like, where's the benefit? Where's the pros for Coach? I don't think they're there. How old is he now? He's probably like 50, right? Maybe a little younger, like 40, 45 maybe. Am I way off? Is he way younger? I feel like when he first played, he had to be at least like 30. So he's like mid-40s maybe? People keep Coach around for fun maybe. He's 53. Yeah, okay. So I think he's in trouble. I did see him in person. I thought he looked good. I'll say that. But that doesn't factor into his ranking too much. Anyone got a prediction for number 21? Who do you think I got a 21? There's going to be a theme with some of these early people, perhaps. I don't think Coach is fun TV. I think he was fun TV. I think he has the capacity to be fun TV. But coming in at number 21, I have Stephanie LaGrossa. Okay, let's go down this checklist once again. Last time she played was Survivor Heroes Villains. It was a very short stay. It was not a very strong stay. She went on Traders, and it wasn't a very good showing. Snakes in the Grass was a pretty bad showing. We see her in Guatemala. She makes a deep run. Bitter Jury. Gets to Heroes Villains. Again, very, very cut short. So, like, I just don't think Stephanie has anything going for her, similarly to Coach. I think what she has more than Coach is, like, there's the ability for people to take her seriously, whereas Coach, I just don't I think his reputation precedes him in like a negative way. Like he is what he is, and I don't think he's ever going to be able to like get over the fact that he's Coach. Stephanie, I don't think people are going to like disrespect Stephanie. I just think she's not a strong player at all, which you know is kind of tough when you're going to be in this spot. She does have more connections than someone like Coach. I mean, she was on a tribe with Colby. You know, she, of course, has a pretty strong connection with Suri. Will that be a relationship with animosity? I don't know, but there always is a bit of a prisoner's dilemma. Or maybe not a prisoner's dilemma, but, like, Suri eliminated Stephanie a gajillion times, and will Stephanie feel like she wants to get one back on her? Or even more dangerously, will Suri feel like Stephanie wants to get one over on her? So, like, both of them have to agree to be chill with each other, and I don't know if either of them will believe the other. But Stephanie is, in my opinion, like quite a bit above Coach still. I just don't think she's a good player, and I think she will play actively. If she was like gonna just kind of lay down and die, I'd have actually more hope in terms of her longevity. But I could see her being an extremely early boot. Again, just not connections, and she doesn't have, in my opinion, like the game acumen, social skills to overcome that. In my opinion. And again, like I don't want to like I'm glad she's going to play hard. I'd prefer her playing hard to someone in the future who I'm going to rank not playing hard, but I think it will result in her getting booted kind of early. Stephanie LaGrossa. Does anyone have a theory for number 20? At this point, everyone's broken into the top 20. This is a huge deal for them. Worthy of celebration. People have been spamming Ozzy. Colby. Ozzy. Colby. All right, you guys think it's Ozzy or Colby? Well, I got Q. I have Q. How could Q win this season, y'all? Come on. How does Q win this? I think here's the benefits of Q. He's got a friend or two on the cast. He's obviously kind of buds with Tiffany and Charlie's there. So he's got some buds. Comp out. He wasn't that good at comps. He's been pre-gaming hard. Meridian review. Do you think that will help him? I feel like Q strikes me as Carolyn, where it's like they probably were pre-gaming super hard, and I don't think anyone took him very seriously in the pre-game. I know he's been making calls. He called me. Cory, you going to be there? No, man, I'm not, but thanks for calling. I think this is mostly just because of the kind of player Q is. The exact reason why he's a fun player and the reason he's being brought back is the exact same reason he's also going to be eliminated very early, or if he gets dragged far, he will be a GOAT. I could see him getting to Final Tribal in like a very funny way and just, being like a joke. But he's not, I don't think Q has anything here. He's played in the modern era, so he'll look for idols. He might find them. But I think that'll buy him a week at max. I don't think he's going to fly under the radar by any means. So yeah, I mean, again, like just make the case for Q doing well this season. Even some of these older school players, I'm like, well, they're at least unknown quantities. I just watched Q play. And the fact that Q got to 6th place there is a fucking miracle. He didn't use his idol last time. That is true. If the New Era Alliance Q is safe for a while, I think Q is going to be the first person in the New Era Alliance who is sowing seeds of distrust or just making people paranoid. I think he might be the one that gets turned on first. Can't spell win equity without Q. That's a good point. He kind of evil dicked them. He'll break whatever alliance he's in. Yeah. Which I think is why he's probably a good person to have on this cast. Hopefully he does destroy whatever New Era Alliance is and allows us to have a pretty fluid game. All right, do you guys have a theory for number 19? XIX? Any thoughts? You guys going to keep just saying Ozzy till I say it? At number 19, I have Colby Donaldson. Colby Donaldson. I could see Colby making Final 3 in a Jervis role if he just kind of attaches himself to somebody. But ultimately, Colby, I think he kind of impressed me in Heroes versus Villains. I thought he had a good head on his shoulders. The way he worked with Tom in the pre-merge I enjoyed. And I did like the way he tried to play the post-merge, even though it was already, he really had nothing he could do. I'm not a Colby hater. I think he's a fine player. I think the problem is, he's so out of it. He's gone to some events. He talked about playing a lot more actively, which is very concerning for me. Again, I'm happy to see it. I'd prefer him to do it as a fan. But I don't think, I can't imagine Colby the game bot out there. I think that seems kind of crazy to me. I just don't think he's set up well. I mean, again, he has relationships with Suri, but he also booted Suri, and I know more than anyone, Suri knows how to hold a grudge. Hey, she was mad at me for getting rid of her son. Imagine how mad she's at Colby for getting rid of her. That's serious. Heard about Colby pre-gaming too. I love that. I love it. I just think he's going to be in a tough spot. You're down on the old school. Yeah, because the thing about the old school is okay, all the new school people, if we're counting 40 as the distinction, are from seasons 42 to 49. That's an 8-season span. When you go to the old school people, that is season 1 to season 38. Right? Yeah, 38. So Jenna Lewis and Rick Devens, I guess, are on this old school half, but that's ridiculous. The actual people from pre-Heroes Villains is just Ozzy, Suri, Stephanie, Colby, Jenna. That's it. Damn it, Reed. Yeah, it's classic. I think Colby's best bet is kind of laying low and riding on his legend status and then trying to make some move at the early merge, get himself in a power position. It's a tough spot. How does Colby gain the respect of everybody else without flaming out? Because obviously all these new players are used to the 26-day format. That's another part that's really important. Colby and Suri, they've played 39 days. I think Suri going from 100-day Big Brother to 26 Survivor is going to be wild. I guess she does have a little bit more Survivor in between that, so maybe that'll help. A 12-day Survivor. But I think for a lot of these other players, there's going to be a huge learning curve in terms of figuring out how to deal with this. I'm curious about the tribe split. Yeah. He's 51. Okay. I think Colby has a chance to make it deep. Again, I just think he could get jury votes from like the legend status. Like, I think people respect Colby. It's just, I think people have opinions of how he is as a game player, and he's going to have to overcome that perception. Colby All Men's Alliance incoming. I mean, he doesn't always do that. Random. I'm sure it'll be 3 tribes of 8. And it'll just be like dividing how they usually divide them. One strong guy per tribe and trying to balance it out the best they can. 18. Any thoughts? Any theories? I think the oldest person on the cast is Suri, right? Ozzy guest part 3. Coming in at number 18, I have Angelina Keeley. Angelina. All right. Pulling for Angelina. Let me tell you, I'm rooting for her. Definitely in my top 5 who I want to win. But, guys, am I a hater? Am I a hater or am I real? Angelina in David vs. Goliath was a super active player, and it was really fun to watch her play. But she didn't exactly have a ton of win equity. She wasn't exactly like respected for her strategic acumen. She wasn't like a social butterfly. I think like the reason she's an awesome character is the reason why she's a very flawed player. She's got connections, you know. She's got Christian and Mike from her season, and I think they both would be more than willing to work with her. I think from that era, she's got Chrissy, she's got Devins. There's a path for her to get a little bit of a group together. I just think like the skill set is kind of rough. Like, she says what's on her mind, which is fun. She's very chaotic. She's very messy. All of these things do not result in me thinking Angelina is going to win the game. She's already been to Final Tribal and was the GOAT of that season. I could see that happening again, but she's almost a tough person to have as a GOAT because she's so active. Like, usually you want your GOAT to be like a docile Bowie Jane type, which is not what she is. But I'm pumped to see Angelina, and I hope, against all hope, this prediction's wrong. But let's be real. Is this that surprising? Come on. All right. Any number 17 guesses? Who we got? Number 17. 17. Everyone's guessing Kyle, Ozzy, Aubrey, Jonathan, Ozzy, Kyle, D. At number 17, I have Ozzy. Ozzy Loost. Here's the deal with Ozzy. He's played a few times now, and he always makes it pretty far. He's played 4 times, to be clear. He is a runner-up, then he comes back, his early merge, comes back again. He comes back again and, makes it to the Final Four. It's Redemption Island, so what are you going to do? And then he comes back in his early merge again. I think he plays pretty chill. He's a chill guy. He's not going to be targeted super early. It's not the Ozzy of old where you just got to get him out immediately as the merge starts. I still think even however old he is, he's probably going to be one of the stronger competitors in individual immunities. So he has that path available to him, which I don't think Colby has. I don't think Angelina, like all these other people before him, I don't think have the capacity to win those challenges in the way he does. He also is more connected than other people on this cast. Again, like he has that Suri connection. The coach connection obviously is a bad thing. I'm kind of looking at it. He doesn't have shit for connections. Like, he never played, because he wasn't on Heroes Villains, which I forget. He's not super well connected. I just think his play style is going to give him an opportunity to make it much further than Stephanie and Colby, basically. I think he's going to be just more docile and more relaxed. And he does have that legend status where I think a lot of these newbies are going to want to play with him. But I don't see a real avenue for him winning the game. I think the way he wins is getting to the final 8 or 9 and then having an idol, winning immunities, kind of Racheling his way to the end. And then it's one of those things where it's like, damn, Ozzy's going to win Survivor 50? That's kind of dope. Oh, we let this guy get to the end? Well, shit. I mean, we were trying to get him out for the past 5-6 weeks. Or rounds, rather. He's with Suri and Aubrey. Yeah, I forget he was on Game Changers. Is there anyone else on Game Changers here? No. keeps up the show more. Yeah, and he's online. Like, I don't think he's going to be super, like, what are you doing here, old man? I don't think that's the vibe. So because he has the ability to comp out, because I think he's going to be more passive as a player, I think these are all reasons why I think Ozzy has more potential to make more deep runs than anyone we've had before. He goes to events a lot. Exactly. And those kinds of things do just help. Selfies with new era players. Yeah, I mean, I've met Ozzy at Over the Edge. I did not expect to see Ozzy there. It was fun. Okay, so do we have any predictions for 16? I know you guys are going to guess some winners. Is there anyone else you guys are guessing? Jonathan, Kyle, Suri, Mike White, Camilla. Coming in at number 16. Suri Fields. Again, if this was a player ranking, I think Suri probably lands at like number 2 or 1, depending on what you do with D. I just think it's hard. Like, it's just hard for Suri. Her reputation precedes her. In her case, that's a great thing. Like, it's a very deserved reputation. It's a positive reputation. But she's just so dangerous, and she's so threatening, and people know it. This also isn't... It's not like Big Brother, which helps her because, like, comps can't completely end her game. But there's also less of a way for her to get to the end. Like, she's not a person who finds advantages. She doesn't find idols. She doesn't win challenges. So she needs to social game and strategic her way to the end. But everyone on this cast especially is not dumb enough to take Suri to the end. Even if she was, like, really good at fire, that would make me feel a lot better about Suri. But, I mean, we've seen her lose fire, first of all, and she doesn't strike me as the person to, like, practice a ton before going out compared to these new schoolers. So, again, I don't see it. The way Suri wins, to be very clear, is she gets to the Final Four, and then the Final Four immunity challenge is like a hand balancing kind of thing, and she can compete there. But, like, saying Suri's best chance of winning is getting to the Final Four and winning immunity, like, she's never done that. Like, that's crazy. It feels harsh because Suri essentially has won a season before. Like, she's proven she can do it in Micronesia. But, like, it's a different ball game now. I think it's hard to replicate that game. It's one of my favorite games in Survivor history. She wins if she's in Final Tribal. Yeah, it's weird to say that because I know in Big Brother, like, if she got to the end, she doesn't win automatically. She probably wins against most people, but, like, our perception of her wasn't that. But I think in Survivor, with Survivor players, in a Survivor context, I do agree. She needs to brainwash Coach or Joe. Yeah, maybe Joe is a good option. She is quite connected on this cast. I mean, she was on a tribe with Colby, and Colby wronged her, so it's up to her to forgive him, and I'm sure she'll be able to pretend effectively. She obviously has a relationship with Stephanie. She has a long relationship with Ozzy. She definitely knows Coach. She has a relationship with Aubrey, and that's about it. So, like, she has connections. She still is a presence in the community as well. I will say, who do you guys think is Suri's biggest opposition? Who's going to be gunning for Suri out the jump? Because I have a theory. A theory backed up by nothing, but I do have a theory. Stephanie. Everyone's saying Stephanie. Okay. It's not Stephanie. Plaza's got it. I think Tiffany might be Suri's ender, or might try to be Suri's ender, because Tiffany's very close to Jag and Jazz and the Baines bros, and Jag and Suri they were each other's nemesis, right? Look, I don't think Tiffany consulted Jag about strategy preseason. I hope she didn't, but I do think that could be kind of funny. I had no clue Tiffany was friends with Jag. Yeah, they're good buds. Also, does Charlie go for Suri in my honor? Probably not, but, I was texting Charlie not so long ago about Boston. So, all this to say, Suri is probably the best, if not the second best player on this cast. Everyone knows it, and this format is not going to help her. She's going to be in trouble, and I think they're going to get rid of fire making, right? Is that confirmed? There's no fire making based on the polling? Or do we not know if they're actually taking our advice or our votes into account? Because it's not confirmed. Without fire making, she's even more screwed, frankly. Like, it's just another, another immunity she's got to win. But I wouldn't think her odds are great with fire making, so. All of this to say, I think Suri will make a deep run. I think she'll make the merge. I think she can make the final 8. I don't think it's impossible she makes it to 6, but I think like getting over that hump of the final 6, final 5, final 4, it's always going to be the problem. It was the problem I thought she was going to have in 25. It's the problem she did have in 25. It's the problem, Micronesia, she got screwed, but of course it happens in Exile Island and it happened in Game Changers. It's just a tough spot for a player like Suri. It's just a tough spot. She could win Sin. Yeah, but even then, like, we haven't seen her be good at that kind of stuff. She's good at, like, balancing. With, balancing dishes with her, medical history. Okay, any predictions on number 15? What do you guys got? I also feel disrespectful picking this picture, but I want to give some BB25 representation. Come on. Kyle, D. Y'all got no faith in the winners, huh? Aubrey, Kyle. Coming in at number 15, I have Chrissy Hoffbeck. Guys, relax. Easy. Shh. Easy, guys. Relax. I said relax. Chill. Yo, guys. It's okay. Chrissy Hoffbeck. So I texted back and forth with Izzy about this cast. It was kind of funny. I was basically saying, like, because I responded to her story being like, this doesn't even look like Ozzy, whatever. And I was like, the people I'm rooting for are the 3 from David vs. Goliath, Chrissy, and a little bit of Suri. And she responded very funnily, like, you don't have to pretend to root for Suri for me. Which I was like, that's pretty funny. I was like, there's a part of me, like, again, like a bit. I'm rooting for her a bit. She's not in my top people. But I was like, yeah. I forget it's not the game. You know what I mean? Like, in the game, I always have to talk up Suri to Izzy. But I am rooting for Chrissy. I've met Chrissy. She's fucking delightful. I think she was one of the best casting choices they made in this entire season. I just think, like, she's a pretty difficult archetype to succeed. Like, she kind of is going to rub people the wrong way, and you could argue a lot of this is a product of the patriarchy. I'm not going to argue against that. Like, I think that's fair. I just don't kind of believe in her enough as a player. Like, people always have the idea of she was robbed in Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, which I think most of us agree that, like, Devin was much more robbed than Chrissy ever was, And I just think, like, she has a lot of qualities that I don't like in a player. As strategically, as a viewer, it's awesome. It's like she's a little bit too confrontational. She's a little bit too stubborn. She rubs people the wrong ways. And she is not, that social butterfly that's going to just coast through the game. There's just a lot of problems with her play style, in my opinion. And she's not connected on this cast at all, really. She goes to some events, so she's going to know some of these people. I would imagine she has some sort of relationship with the 37ers. Usually you have something going on with people from around your season. She goes to events. That's where I met her. So, like, I like that. She certainly knows a lot of the new schoolers. She's pre-gaming, which is good. And I think with her pre-gaming, I think people would take her seriously. She's good in challenges. Like, ultimately, my problem with Chrissy is not the cast. It's not the format. It's just her as a player. I just don't have that much faith in on a return. Here's what I'll say. Can Chrissy win? Absolutely. For sure. Can Chrissy be the first boot? Yes. Would anyone be shocked if Chrissy was first out? Would that blow anyone's mind? Winner pick, I don't care. I respect it. I could see her being out pretty early. How is she the first boot? She's a very assertive, aggressive player. She is very active. She plays really hard, and she's wanted this for a long time. You guys are so fixated on this winner thing. It's pissing me off. it's like, guys, I got 95 fucking Jenna Lewises in the chat. She was almost first out in her own season. I think she was, right? Do we think she's reflected and grown? I mean, she probably has reflected on some of the mistakes. I don't know if she thinks she made a ton of mistakes. Also, I think she kind of thought she was screwed last time I talked to her. She definitely told me she thought she'd beat Devin, which I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that, but generally speaking, I'm glad to see Chrissy back. I just don't have enough faith in her as a player to play in the way that she wants to play. She's going to play actively, and I think it's going to bite her in the butt. Also, I think it's hard for people to reflect and grow as players when you're playing at such like an adult age. How old is she on her first season? It was like upper 30s, early 40s. I don't think you grow that much as a player at that age. Just because you are who you are. You're like a fully formed person with life experience, you know? Also, for someone like Chrissy, who's such a badass in real life, it's like, I don't know if she's changing much. She's 46 and 54. Like, she is who she is at this point, right? And what she is a great character. Okay. Is there any theories for number 14? Something tells me you guys are going to say Kyle and D. When they're my top two, then what? Then what? Kyle, Camilla, Jonathan, Joe. At number 14, I have D. I've got D. D might have missed out on some pre-gaming, which is taken into account. I think D is an extremely skilled player, probably the second best player on this cast, or the best, depending on how you judge her versus Suri. Best player of the new era, in my opinion. She's got some allies in this cast, right? She's got Emily, who she played with, and I think she's got a good relationship with. I think that's it, right? Yeah. The reason I have D below Kyle, if we just want to compare the two winners, is, and again, I want to be clear, like, I followed 48 pretty loosely, so I don't want to act like I'm an authority on the subject, but I'll explain my ranking for all those people when I get there. My problem with D, she is probably the biggest threat on the board, in my opinion. I think bigger than Suri. That's how I would walk into the game thinking. I understand 48 was more recent. I think D is like the consensus best player on the cast. Camilla and Kyle are probably in that mix. But in my opinion, I think D is the biggest threat. She also, like, her game in 45 was not perfect. I think she did show some flaws, and she was able to overcome those flaws, which is good. I've obviously heard a lot about D over the recent months, and I know she's got a capability to get, like, that onion alliance and kind of, like, have everyone wrapped around her finger. I just think it's hard with a cast like this who should be onto her from day one. And with 26 days, she doesn't have enough time to undo that perception. If they're gunning for winners, obviously she's basically screwed from the jump. But I do have in general, like, a good amount of faith in D's just innate ability to figure it out, to make a somewhat deep run. I think the best D can do is, like, who's a good example of, like maybe D could do, like, a Kim Spradlin Winners at War kind of move. You know what I mean? Doesn't that, like, track a little bit? Like, she can get far, but no one's really going to let her have a chance. Maybe she'll be on the bottom more this season and kind of fighting her way through. In terms of, like, the new era cast, she knows everyone. She's hung out with everyone probably a lot. So she's probably one of the better connected people on the cast. And if it breaks down into just pregame alliances, I'd bet on her making a deep run. I just don't think people are going to let her get far enough. She could bail herself out with immunity. She is a really good individual immunity competitor. But, like, if that's your out, I don't like that. She should do an alliance with all the big threats like Tony. It's always a good premise, but there's a reason it never happens. And yeah, I think Emily being on the cast helps her quite a bit. I think that's a very positive thing for her. All right. Anyone have predictions for 13? You guys could just keep saying Kyle. That's up to you guys. If you guys want to just keep saying Kyle, that's your prerogative. Sorry, I have a typo. I had one person double and fucked up all the numbers. Okay. Okay, we should be good. Okay. Okay. At number 13, I have Camilla. Again, I don't want to act like I'm an expert on Camilla's game. I feel like I got the gist. I talked to Zach a lot about the season as it was happening and as it ended, just trying to get his read on these players and their chances going in. My impression of Camilla is I think she might have a bigger target on her back than even Kyle, or she might have as big of a target as Kyle or right next to him. And I think that's very dangerous for a player like Camilla. I think Kyle can at least fall back on being like the big buff dude who can help in challenges, and he can bail himself out pretty reliably with immunity. But like, I think she's just going to come in with like as big of a threat level as Kyle and not as many of the kind of bullshit tools that Kyle has, if that makes sense. There's 2 L's. My bad. My B. Crazy I spelled the last name right and the first name wrong. But I do think Camilla and Kyle, it certainly feels like one of them is going to be an early boot and one of them is going to make a deeper run. My bet would be Camilla goes out first. I do think Camilla probably has like a more outcomes result in her winning than Kyle, but I think Kyle gets to the end game more reliably, and then at that point, anything can happen. But I think Camilla could be an early boot. She's not going to have as many connections as a lot of these people, just because her season was so recent. She won't be as screwed as the 49ers. Hopefully those people are still going to events, or still went to events. But she's just not going to be as integrated into these other people. I could see Camilla attaching to Christian. That is just kind of fan fiction, but I could see it, potentially. How come you weren't tapped into 48? It was not because of the Amazing Race. It was just I was kind of off social media, to be honest. And I heard the season sucked ass, so. And yeah, I do think Camilla comes off as a little bit more of a player than Kyle, which, again, I prefer, but I think that helps Kyle out. And also, the whole idea of Camilla would have beaten anyone in the final 2 or final 3 is a problem, I think, for her. Does anyone really remember that? I think Kyle just being the one who won is probably a bigger deal. But I just think she's going to carry as much threat level as him without the $1 million to justify it, which is kind of a shame for her. All right. Is there any theories for number 12? Numero 12. At number 12, I have Joe. Look, I think in a lot of ways, Joe benefits just from losing. Everyone just saw him get shut out. That is helpful. He had a firm grasp on the game. He won't be able to play the same game he played in 48, but I think he's come out and said he doesn't want to play the same game as he played in 48. Basically, the thing that Joe is going for him is he played a loyal game. Loyalty is important, that kind of shit, which I think is a good thing going into a future season where he can play that card another few times. Also, everyone just seeing him lose helps lower his threat level. If he wins that season after kind of, ruling it with an iron fist, I think it's almost impossible for him to have a chance here. But he didn't. So I think he actually is in a decent spot. He has connections to Kyle and Camilla. I would assume he's willing to work with them, is my impression. And he's a strong, buff guy, which can help in the pre-merge, especially if, and I assume this is what most people believe, it's going to be like a three tribes of 8, 2 of them going tribal each round, which makes physical strength all the more important this season. So I think he could just get like a pretty lucky pre-merge and just kind of coast through. And he clearly has a lot of strategic acumen. There's just some parts of his game that piss people off, and I get it. It pissed the jury off, which is not good. And there's a lot of bros on this cast for him to bro down with, especially some of these older school people. I could see him getting along with Colby, with Coach, even with Ozzy. Do you have a recap graphic for those of us who joined? Nah, but I'll zoom through it. I did Coach, Stephanie, Q, Colby, Angelina, Ozzy, Suri, Chrissy, D, Camilla, and then Joe. Joe's pregame with Jonathan. Nothing has surprised me less. Nothing has surprised me less. But I think Joe, unfortunately, he seems like a fine guy. Like, I think he's in for a pretty good run. All right, let's talk about number 11. Oh, who's going to be right outside the top 10? This is so sad. So sad. Kyle. You guys are so fucking boring. Kyle. All right. Coming in at number 11. I have Mike White. I just think the problem with Mike White is he's a little bit too big of a presence. He's too big of a name at this point where, like, I could see him definitely not getting voted out early. I could see that happen, too. I mean, who was the guy on Survivor 47 who was voted out first? The Pod Save America? What was his name? John Lovett. I could see him having a John Lovett trajectory maybe of just getting a little bit iced out and just not being able to connect with people. But he is a social butterfly. I was kind of his thing on David Goliath. He gets to the end. Some people think he was robbed. I think he probably wasn't. I think he was a deserving second place finisher. He doesn't play in a super flashy way, which I think is good. That helps his longevity a lot. People might want to keep him around for quite a bit. He does have that problem of, like, will people want to take him to the end? Because he probably won't be able to take himself there. I don't think people would want to. I think he carries a certain amount of something with him. But if they are willing to take him, I think he'll probably lose in the final three again. You know, like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, if they won't take him, they won't. And if they do, he'll lose because that's why they're taking him. He's shown the capacity to lose in that spot before, despite playing a pretty strong game. I think it's just a flaw of his. He's not flashy. And I think an all-star season usually calls for pretty flashy gameplay. People are going to work for that White Lotus cameo. I think that's an overstated thing. But I think it could be funny. He has relationships with Christian and Angelina, which could be helpful, but I think they're all going to be separated, and one of them is probably going to be gone pre-merge, so that hurts him. But I don't think Mike is in immediate danger. It kind of reminds me of Rob Cesternino if he was on this cast. It's like, no one's going to boot him super early, probably, but no one's going to, like, let him win. He's probably just going to be somewhere in that, like, 16th to 11th or 16th to 8th spot, and that'll be fine. Maybe he'll get cut before Final Travel, right before, because, you know, he's not going to be able to take himself there. That's my read on Mike White. Great casting choice. He'll be super fun to watch. I just don't think he is anywhere near a front runner. I think he's kind of destined for that middle game. But he's a good player, so. All right, top 10. My boy Kyle made it. Let's go, Kyle. Woohoo! Woohoo! All right. Do you guys think Kyle makes it past number 10 is the question. Coming in at number 10. Rick Devens. I'm surprised you guys haven't said Devens earlier. Because I feel like you guys forgot about him. Because I feel like I should have seen a lot more Rick Devens talk. Here's the thing about Devens. I think if we were ranking players based on, like, their game ability that they've shown so far, I think you could argue he's bottom 3, bottom 4, something like that. Maybe just, like, Q is worse than him. Maybe Coach. And that's it. But I do think he has a lot of things going for him. First of all, he's an advantage merchant. I think that's a helpful thing. I think he knows how to play at a fast-ass pace. I don't think he's super well connected on this cast, but I don't think he's screwed. He's kind of in that, like, middle age era where he can connect with the newer school and the older school. I think that really is the sweet spot. Being in that, like, 35 to 42 range, I think is a good spot to be. He is competitive in individual immunity. He is good enough socially. He's not great. He's okay strategically. He gets the game. Of course, he was voted out and then idled his way to Final Four and lost. So it's not like he's a social butterfly or a strategic mastermind. But I just like the spot that he's in. I know he's going to play hard. He has the right threat level where if he gets to the end, he probably wins. People will respect him. But he's definitely not going to be like one of the first names on the board. Any production interference that happens will advantage him. That's a huge thing for him. He is with Aubrey, which is good, right? They're both people who don't have a ton of connections outside of one another, so I'd hope they would stick together pretty closely. But in general, I think Devins has a pretty decent shot of making a good run, and he always has the ability to bail himself out with idols and immunities in a way that a lot of other players don't. I just really value the idol stuff with him. I think it's gonna be a lot of it this season. I don't care what these polls say. He's a very flawed player. I could see him flaming out super early, like a Tony in Game Changers vibe. I could also see him making a deep run. We'll see with Devins. I think this is one of those where, like, we'll see. I don't think this is more of a vibes ranking. I think if I was really being objective, he probably falls down this list quite a bit. Yeah, it's kind of the vibe, Matthew. Is like, he's not a huge threat, but I do think he, carries a little bit of respect. He's a big name, When he made 2 separate fake idols and played his real one, yeah. He's fun, too, just because they over-edit him. I still think it's fun. All right, predictions for number 9. We know who it's not. So do you guys want to guess someone else? Kyle, Aubrey, Kyle, Jonathan, Kyle. At number 9 is Kyle. All right, here we go. So here's the credit I'll give Kyle. I think there's going to be a huge threat on his, a huge target on his back as a result of being the most recent winner, of course. I think what helps him is I don't think he played a D-type game. He played a great game, played a strong game, but I think he's not like the most surreptitious, dangerous player. He is kind of this archetype that does pretty well, pretty consistently. He has the capacity to bro down with a Jonathan, with a Coach, a Colby, even like a Devins in certain spots, Ozzy. Like, I think he has that ability, which someone like Camilla might struggle with a little bit more. He also, is a very capable challenge competitor. He has a lot of connections. He has Joe and Camilla. Again, one of Kyle or Camilla is going to get booted. Whoever doesn't, I think, can make a pretty deep run. Will anybody let him win twice? Probably not. But there's a lot of big threats on the board. I think automatically assuming that Kyle is the alpha dog threat, I think that's misguided. I think there's other players who could take up that spot very easily. Charlie and Kyle Alliance go deep. Yeah, I think they get along. Also, I think Kyle's playstyle lends itself pretty well to this kind of season. He's going to lower his threat level. He's not going to be running the ship, right? So I think there are a lot of concerns with Kyle, but he has so much going for him. And put on top of that, he's a super capable player. I don't know why everyone is so low on Kyle. Just because he's a winner? Is there anything else? People see Camilla as the alpha in that duo. That's what I think. I think, like, Camilla is going to take the brunt, and he's also better in challenges, so he could get bailed out in the pre-merge because people need him. We're pre-gaming against him. I hear you, but, like, I feel like we've seen enough reality TV to understand how pre-gaming works. Like, it matters till it doesn't. I just don't take it super seriously. We have no idea what the tribe configurations are going to be. I don't take it seriously. I think everyone having the same rankings and the same who's going to win, all of that based on, like, this one person's, like, pre-gaming rumors, I just think is a little bit silly for commenting on the show. You know what I mean? Like, basing all of our predictions on, like, these isolated pieces of information, I think it's a little bit silly. I guess my question for you, we're in an interview, is like, okay, what if we come back from the first challenge and Camilla's gone? Camilla's been voted out. All of a sudden, is Kyle in, like, a much better position? Do you think it's just the fact that he's a winner, or is it the fact that he has it as an established duo? He has Joe, too. Yeah, I mean, that's a good connection. But I don't think people are going to associate him with Joe in the same way, obviously. Yeah, no, it probably is both. But I just think, like, there's a lot of paths where, first of all, Kyle can bro down. Second of all, he's just, like, a player who thrives playing from, like, a middle position. Again, I'm not an expert on his game. I don't want to pretend like I am. But I'd be much more worried if he had Joe's play style, or he played like Boston Rob, or he played like Tony. That's what I think. Rachel said the Stephanie going against Suri thing is BS. Yeah, I don't know how tapped in Rachel is or the other guy is, right? Who knows? He has to be a target for that. Yeah, but like knowing how to play the middle is also a really important skill if this breaks down into two sides, old school, new school, which it might. Look, I'm not even making a crazy prediction. I'm saying he's the 9th most likely to win. But I do think he's in that mix. I think he's good. Did you have Kyle higher before editing this list? No, I was debating putting him a little bit higher than this when I originally made the list, but the winner thing is, it wouldn't even matter. If he won season 44, it wouldn't matter to me, but the fact that it's 48, it's just so top of mind for people that could be pretty problematic. But that's why he's not higher. If he didn't have that baggage, he's my top 3, for sure. So, like, I am taking into account. I think you guys are just considering it, like, invalidating, which I do not believe. I think that is one of the stupidest comments I've ever read, Tone JD. I think they might not let him get to the end, but if you make it to the final 2, no one gives a shit if you won or not. It's not like, oh, we want to spread the wins around. Like, that's just fan fiction. He already has 1 million. No one gives a shit, dude. No, like that's not a part of the calculation. Like maybe it is for like Coach. You know, maybe there's like 1 or 2 people on the cast. If Maria was there, perhaps Q will think that. I can guarantee that. Yeah, exactly. Meridian review. Q will make that decision, 100%. But outside of that, I'm not worried about Kyle's jury prospects at all. That's the least of his problems. Actually, the least of his problems. It's kind of like Nicole Frenzel. Like, if she made it to the end of All-Stars 2, she could make one hell of a case. Mostly against Enzo, but, you know, still. I just don't think, you know, that's not a reason people wouldn't vote for him. It's a reason why people would target him. Anyways, do we have any predictions for number 8? Finally, we've broken free of the Kyle prison. We can actually make predictions now. Aubrey, Jonathan, Jenna, Jonathan. All right. At number 8, I have Genevieve. This one is biased. This is purely based on my personal experience. Hey, number 8's good. This is not me trashing Genevieve. Number 8 is good. And this is literally a product of my interactions with Genevieve. She has too much aura. Exactly. She has too much aura. When I spoke to her, I immediately wanted to target her, and I was in a food court with her. She's just so smart and carries herself so well and is such an intelligent person and speaks in such an intelligent way. I think she's cooked. I think she carries with her such a bigger threat level than she warrants. Like, if she was, like, as good of a player as D, as good of a player as Kyle, as good as Suri, I think her threat level would be fine. Her threat level is so massive for how strong of a player Genevieve was in her first season. And she was good, but, like, the game wasn't incredible. Like, her threat level blew up massively, and then she was just playing week to week, surviving as long as she could before she got cut. I like that she has, like, connections just in terms of being new school. Like, she's going to know people. She's been to a lot of events. I could see people wanting to work with Genevieve. I just think she has too much aura for the game scale that we've seen. That's the problem. I was hoping we'd get definitely Sam, Tim, and honestly, I think Rachel would have been a great pick too. Just because, like, Rachel, I think, is a better player than her winning game suggests, and, like, giving her a chance to try to prove that, I think, would have been a fun story. Andy, I like Andy a lot, but I think his story in 47 was good. I think we got the story. Seeing him again would be fun, but Sam, I think, getting second in that manner, after really not making much of a mistake, I think would have been fun. Rachel wasn't called. It is odd to me. But I think Genevieve has a good shot. She just needs to... The problem is though, like she can't like make an adjustment and like lay low. It's just how she is. She's a pretty great person, and I think that could be pretty damaging for her. But I'm rooting for Genevieve. I've met her. She's wonderful. Watches Big Brother too. Talked extensively to Quinn about the turtles, doves, rats, and snakes or whatever, the frogs, that thing. Remember he had pregame? She was like deep diving into what each one means and then placing everyone in her cast on it. It was pretty funny. But anyways, what do you guys have at number 7? Any thoughts? Nah, Sam agrees, Tim. Jonathan. Aubrey, Christian, Jenna. Coming in at number 7, I have Jenna Lewis. This is me kind of going with my heart. I love Jenna Lewis. I think Jenna is such an active player, and she's someone who probably did change dramatically as a player since we last saw her. I think she was 23 or 2 or something on her first season. Played again a few years later. Now she's probably in her 50s. How do I choose between Quinn streams and Cory stream? Maybe neither. But yeah, that's Jenna Lewis. I think she's a super active player, which I appreciate. She is going to be fun. She's not like super connected. I mean, she's played with Colby before. That's it, right? I mean, how else could she play with anyone else? Yeah, she played with Colby, I guess. She's not very well connected, but she is in that old school group. I think people are going to want to keep her around. I still anticipate her being reasonably strong in challenges. Generally speaking, I like Jenna's whole kind of perception. I don't think people are going to perceive her as this rabid gamer, even though she totally is one. I think she's going to have the respect of everyone else by virtue of being an OG Season 1, Final 3 on All-Stars. Like, she's going to carry that aura with her. The problem is, like, what does Jenna Lewis look like these days? Like, how good of a player is she? Is she going to, like, be totally out of her depth because it's been 20-plus years since she last played? That's very possible. I'm choosing to believe in Jenna Lewis. I can see them both flaming out. Yeah, I think they're actually, it's a very interesting comparison. What I like about Jenna just a little bit more than Chrissy is, like, I think Jenna probably has changed more since her last game, whereas Chrissy, I think I kind of know what I'm going to get. I don't know exactly what I'm going to get with Jenna, but I do like what I've seen so far. I don't think, if you guys don't remember, she was awesome on All-Stars. She wasn't very likable on All-Stars, frankly, but I really enjoyed watching her. I thought she was a huge presence. She never stopped watching, so she knows all these players. She's not going to be Colby Donaldson on Heroes Villains, not knowing anyone. But I'm hoping against all hope that Jenna Lewis makes a run. That'd be sick. Oh, it'd be so good. Number 6, who do you guys think? Do you guys think it's Jonathan Young, perchance? Is that what you guys think I have at number 6? Jonathan. Aubrey, Christian, Emily. At number 6, I have Emily Flippin. Emily. Look, I was really close to rating her a lot lower than this. I could see a couple different paths for Emily. I'm not talking about Jonathan right now. Guys. We'll talk about Jonathan 5 spots from now, okay? Here's what Emily has going for her. She's got the right threat level. People respect her. She's a big character. She got 7th. She's not a winner. People don't think she's a mastermind, but they do respect her strategic mind. That's all good. I love her connections on this cast. She's in the new era. She knows all those people. Having D in your corner could be an absolutely massive deal if D gets into a power position. Love that. She's also, like, I've met her in person. I think so many of her flaws on her first season will be less of a flaw this next time, or maybe just gone altogether in terms of, like, the freaking out in those early days. She knows how to play Survivor now. I've met her at these events. She's an extremely social person. I think that perception that she's, like, socially awkward and whatever you want to attribute, like, that's not the Emily I met. Again, like, Survivor's a very intense experience, so maybe that brings out some of that stuff, but, like, I think she's going to be way, way more comfortable this time. And I think that's just going to help her in the early game. I know she's a rabid pre-gamer, 100%. But I think she's someone who people would want to pregame with. And I think if there ends up being a huge pre-gaming alliance contingent, I think that's going to be very helpful for Emily. I think she's going to be on the right side of that. And if there's not, I think she'll be fine anyways. I don't think we saw like a brilliant game played by her, in 45 where it's like, okay, she's clearly a top tier player who's going to it's not that, but we saw enough to know she's a very capable player and she understands what she has to do. And I think just being more socially comfortable in the environment, I think she has a really solid shot of doing well. Again, it's just like having a good threat level is so important. Having connections is so important. And being somewhat capable as a player, I just think she's set up pretty well. I could see her getting iced out early if she just, again, has a rough start, but I think there's much more likely options for that position. So that's my thoughts on Emily. What a crazy tribe name, Dakuwaka. Any Preds on number 5? Any theories? I see Hubicki, Tiffany, Aubrey, Jonathan, Tiffany, Aubrey, Jonathan, Aubrey. Every name except Charlie. There's a Charlie. At number 5, I have Christian Hubicki. Chubicki. Love Christian. It's my dog. Check out our Genius podcast with him. I think it's almost like he's very lucky that there wasn't an all-star season earlier, because I think his threat level would have been so disproportionate to his performance. But now with this many years past, I think his threat level has diminished significantly. I think a lot of people who have watched Christian play Blood on the Clock Tower might be like, dude, this guy's insane. He's way too aggressive. That's not how he plays Survivor, okay? He's a much more tactful player outside of the context in Clock Tower. Like, he's not, in my opinion, he's not the biggest wild card. Socially, he's got a magnetism towards him. He's just such an interesting, dynamic person to speak to. I've enjoyed every interaction I've had with Christian so much, and I think most people on this cast will as well. He's very well connected, not just with the 37ers. He's got, Angelina and Mike. I'm sure he's also somewhat close with Chrissy, somewhat close with Devins. And he has all these people in the new era where he's extremely active. He's at a lot of these events. He plays Clock Tower. He's on RHAP. He's around. I'm sure most of these people have met Christian, have hung out with Christian a little bit. All not to mention, he's actually pretty good at individual immunity, underrated. In tribal challenges, he could be a bit of a liability, but nothing crazy. He's fine. He has the capacity to find advantages. He's played in that era of Survivor where there was just as many advantages and idols as there are now. He's the type of guy, if he gets to a jury vote, he's going to win. He definitely knows how to make fire. You could definitely make the case of, no one's going to let him get to the end, but there's so many people who are in that boat, maybe they get rid of them first. If you got 3 people you can't bring to the end and you're at the final 5, one of them's making it to the end. Great at puzzles, of course. Now, what are the downsides for Christian? Well, he does carry quite a significant threat level. He also is so obviously strategic in nature, and he looks a certain way that it's hard for him to put people at ease. He kind of is what he is. He's a gamer. And that is a worrying thing for Christian. That's basically my only con. I think everyone in this top 5 has a real chance of winning. His problem in David vs. Goliath is his threat level exploded way too early. So he's got to prevent that. It helps that it's 26 days and there's so many threats outside of him. But even on David Goliath, there was a lot of threats, and he still was deemed the alpha threat. So I am worried about that with Christian. But I'm rooting for him. I came into this list thinking he'd be way lower, and I don't anymore. I think he's got a good shot. All right, predictions on number 4. Who do you guys think? Top 4 is getting serious. Jonathan, Aubrey, Jonathan, Charlie. Coming in at number 4 is Charlie Davis. It's Charlie. Okay. So what sets apart Charlie from someone like D, from someone like Kyle, someone like Suri? Charlie's going to have one of the biggest threat levels on this entire cast. That's the truth. I think Charlie is so well respected by these other players. He's probably, he's like the guy who was robbed. I think this used to be like the conversation we had every single season of Survivor. This person was robbed, bitter jury. He's the only one in modern era where I'm like, yeah, he was actually like in that category. People are going to be worried about Charlie. Now, here's what helps him compared to these other people. His way of existing and his vibe and the way he speaks to you and his play style lends itself to lowering his threat level. I think he can put you at ease much easier than someone like Christian because he's just kind of chill and he seems like such a normal ass dude. He's a triple threat. Socially, he's excellent. I think the perception that like Kenzie was great socially where Charlie was great strategically. It's like, no. Kenzie was great socially and solid strategically. Charlie was great strategically and really good socially. Like he's really good in that department as well. So I think Charlie is really well set up. As a player, I think he's probably top 3 on this cast. I think Suri and D, I would give the nod. I think him and Kyle are very close. I'd give the nod to Charlie, but again, I don't know shit about Kyle's game, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But I think Charlie just is really well set up. Pre-gaming wise, he's got Q and Tiffany, who I think are going to be totally willing to work with him. He's very well connected with Emily. He's got all the newer era people he's definitely met. He's just around. He's respected. He's liked. He doesn't have enemies. His threat level is big, but his playstyle lends itself to lowering his threat level. I think Charlie's in a good spot, which is pretty remarkable considering how big of a target I think will be on his back. And I love Charlie. I'm pulling for that guy. He's connected to Coach too. Yeah, a little bit. By the transitive property, he is connected to Coach. He certainly met Coach several times. And he's great at challenges. He's a physical threat. It was him and Maria going back and forth. Charlie's one of my favorite people I've met at events. Yeah, he's a sweetie. All right. That's Charlie for you. Top 3, baby. Top 3. Who do we got? Who do we have at number 3? Bro looks like you. Maybe a little bit. I think it's a little bit overstated. Tiffany, Aubrey, Jonathan. Those are the top 3. Coming in at number 3, Jonathan Young. Here's my question, because I do a lot of yapping. Tell me why Jonathan won't do well. Surya had a number 16, I think. What's Jonathan's problem? Who is he working with? I think he's going to be so absurdly well connected. Not even well connected on this cast, just like he's going to have a lot of allies. I have no worries about that. Now, this choice is somewhat informed by a lot of conversations I've had with Zach Wertenberger. Because my perception of Jonathan, just from the show, is like, okay, he's probably the most physical competitor in Survivor history, and that's about it. He's like a loyal guy, whatever. He's a gamer. He's not a hardcore gamer. He's not a game bot, but he plays. He tries to be self-interested, he understands the game, he gets how it works, he knows what he has to do to put himself into a better spot. That's good. He has that baseline. I think a lot of people say he doesn't. That's part 1. Part 2, I don't think he's going to go to tribal pre-merge. He is the best pre-merge challenge competitor in Survivor history. Is that, maybe like Tom Westman, but that's a whole... Jonathan Young as a solo force carries his tribe to immunity. I think he's going to be able to bro down so effortlessly with everyone on this cast. He has such a good reputation as someone to work with. And he is like, in a weird way, a bridge between the old school and new school. I don't know his exact relationships with people on this cast, but I do know that whenever I see Jonathan at the events, he is hanging out with the oldest school people you can find. Colby's going to want to work with him. Ozzy's going to want to work with him. Coach is going to want to work with him. Everyone's going to want him on their side. He's not going to be an early target. I have no doubt he's going to make a deep run. I have none. And Jonathan's a lot better than Hunter, guys. He's a lot better. He's close to Steph. Exactly. It's like these random-ass connections that for some reason Jonathan has. And the new era people, he's at events. I don't think anyone's gunning for Jonathan immediately. Of course, he can bail himself out with individual immunity. And while like the win equity department was kind of struggling on 42, I don't think he's the type of player who can never win in the finals. I think he's more likely to be a losing finalist, but I don't think he's drawing dead at all. And unlike everyone else on this list, I think it's not hard for him to get to the final three. I don't think it'll be hard. I think he like is going to make a deep run, and I think he stands a chance in a jury situation. He's good at brute force stuff. I don't know about puzzles, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Like he can coast through the pre-merge on his challenge ability, and then in the post-merge, I don't think people are going to see him as big of a threat as he actually is. Some challenges he'll win on the spot, obviously, but most of them are like balance and, puzzles and stuff, which he can be competitive in, but he's not the same force, obviously. I just think Jonathan is uniquely set up to work with the old school and the new school players. He is drastically underrated strategically. Physically, he's one of the strongest forces in Survivor history. And I don't think he's drawing dead in a jury vote. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, Omer's talked up Jonathan's game several times. So has Marianne, so has Zach. He's not the dumb meathead I think people think him to be. So I don't think Jonathan's going to win, but I think he has the best shot of making it reliably far as anyone, and I think he can win. All that stuff is real Plaza. I don't want to diminish that. It's just like these are separate rankings. Like, I'm looking at this cast. I'm like, how many people are going to have a problem with him there? I don't know. I don't think it's a crazy number. If he was on Big Brother, maybe he'd have a few more problems. Or maybe he'd win dominatingly. I don't know. It's hard to say with Big Brother. And it depends on pre-gaming, but I think he's been pretty active. I don't think Emily will like him. That's true. The women were playing the victim card. I probably don't like that comment, Keeson. I don't know if I agree with that. Actually, no, I do know I disagree with that. But if this is who I want to win, this would not be the list. Just to be clear. But I don't think that's the thing, Keeson. I don't think that's the way. Okay, but that's my Jonathan take. Again, I know I'm going out on a bit of a limb on this one, but show some respect to season 42 of Survivor. Birthed one of the best RHAV podcasters in recent memory. You're crazy for this? It's fine. Look, call me crazy. I can't support you after you disrespected my goat, Suri. I don't think I was disrespectful. I think I was generous having Suri that high. All right. Number 2, who do you got? You watch the tribal then? All good. Yeah. I just gave you a chance to just retract it or say nothing or, and then you just double down. It's crazy. And number 2 is Tiffany. So here's the thing, right? At first, I was going to rank Tiffany a lot lower. And the reason was, I don't think she played a very strong game the first time. I don't think she was a really good player, And then I had a thought. There's one player whose arc and trajectory she reminds me of so much. So much. Who do you think it is? In Survivor history, who does she remind me of going into this season? Not Wentworth, not Parvati, not Amber. Carson got it. She reminds me of Sarah Lacina. Where Sarah's game in Kagayan was like, there's potential there, but there's so many huge flaws. A ton of them. And it's like, you see her coming back on Game Changers, you're like, that's cool. But like, she imploded at the merge for no reason. Overplayed her hand. I think Tiffany played a really flawed game on 46. Like a really flawed game. Her threat level was way too big. She wanted to vote out way too many allies. Her and Q were just kind of a mess. She goes home with an idol. There's like a billion problems. But she showed potential. Socially, she's a very interesting way of playing the social game. She's very direct, and I think a lot of people respect that about her. Strategically, she's extremely cutthroat. She's willing to get rid of her closest allies. She's willing to run the ship. She's willing to take a back seat. She has a lot of the tools that would make up a good player, but she wasn't able to put them together on 46. Now, being able to reflect on that, I think she stands a much better chance. Not to mention, she has an amazing threat level. She's in that good spot of like, people would respect Tiffany in a jury situation. They also are not going to target her because she's such a big threat by any means. She's well connected. I think having Q there is huge. That's a person who could just go out before her, someone she can work with as long as the season goes on. Charlie, another amazing connection for her, a bigger threat than her, and also someone who probably will have a pretty big presence on the season. There's a lot going for her. The only thing going against her, in my opinion, is like, I just don't know how good of a player she is, which is a big deal. Unsurprisingly. I don't know how good of a player she is. And I don't think she has the ability to really play under the radar. Like, I think even if she doesn't come in as a huge threat, I think she'll establish herself as a threat in the merge. And it'll just be like, can she Tyson her way to the end and like be a front runner and get to the end anyways? Or Sarah, for example, is another good example. And I think she has a better chance of doing that than someone would on a normal season because there are so many threats that they have to get rid of. You have to get rid of Christian. You have to get rid of Charlie. You have to get rid of Suri. Like, I think she stands a pretty decent chance. She seemed unlikable. I don't know how good her social game is. I think it's hard to say someone's unlikable based on the show, unless like everyone's saying that in unison. I think people did like Tiffany quite a bit, even if in confessional she is pretty harsh. Yeah, I agree, Sydney. I think it's more of a straight shooter in my opinion than like she's so abrasive and rude. Like I don't think that. And I've met Tiffany. She's a very nice person. I do think she's like a little bit overrated. Like the fact that she's like the consensus winner pick, I think is a little bit silly. I understand I'm ranking her second, but like her game wasn't very good. It was solid. It was fine, but like I think it is just giving Sarah Lacina vibes. Where like I thought everyone picking Sarah to win that season was stupid as hell too, and then Sarah played one of the strongest games in the show's history. Y'all will regret underrating the GOAT Suri. Does that make Matt the GOAT, being able to manipulate Suri the entire season? Huh. Food for thought. Huh. I think the fact that everyone thinks she's the winner pick is why she wouldn't be people's winner pick. Yeah, it's a little bit meta, but I hear you. Matt wasn't even aware for such, unfortunately. Well, even worse for Suri, frankly. That's even worse. I got Aubrey at number 1. I did not think this is the direction I was heading going into this list, but then I started to think about it, and I'm like, why the fuck not? Why not? I mean, she's played this is going to be her 4th time. She's robbed her first time. Michelle's a great winner, but I think that was the thought. That was the discussion. She comes back, makes a deep run in Game Changers, has a decent amount of win equity, gets, 5th there, I think? She gets 5th. Solid showing, good performance. Shows up again, early boot. I think that helps her. Just in general, she's a really fucking good Survivor player who is really under the radar for her resume. She's extremely strategic. She's good socially. She commands respect. If she gets to a jury situation, I think she stands a really good chance, especially considering how she was robbed in Kaorong. She's extremely well connected as well. I mean, she does know Ozzy, and she has a good relationship with Suri from Game Changers, and she's relatively around. She should know a lot of the new era people. She should especially know the 35, 6, 7, or 35, 7, and 8 people. I do question how into it she'll be. Don't believe she had been watching the show. That could be a concern. There's also a fear of, like, she was an alternate. So is she, like, behind on the pre-gaming? Granted, who's targeting Aubrey at the start? I think if pre-gaming plays a really large role in the season, there should be two sides going after each other, and Aubrey shouldn't be on either. I just have a ton of faith that Aubrey is a great player. We know that. She has a really good threat level, pretty under the radar for being such a strong player, and I think she's better connected than people want to give her credit for. And she kind of likes Big Brother, which helps. I just have faith in Aubrey. And again, maybe it's misplaced, but we've seen her play 3 times. She did exceptionally well twice. The third time it happens. I just think Aubrey has a good shot at this thing. And I couldn't think of a lot of reasons why I wouldn't rank her higher. Like, compared to Tiffany, she's a much better player, right? Compared to Jonathan, she's a much better player. Compared to Charlie, she maybe isn't a better player, but she's damn near close, if not better. And she has a much better threat level. She's a better player than Christian and has a better threat level. She's a better player than Emily, probably has a similar-ish threat level. Like, you see, like, she just has more going for her. In my criteria of what makes a winner candidate, she just kind of is hitting on all cylinders. Yeah, there's a danger in terms of, like, maybe she just doesn't get how the show works anymore. But it's Aubrey. I'd hope she did some homework. You know? I'd hope. She seems like the type. Where did Mike rank? Where did Mike go? 11. It's kind of generous to Mike, too. Probably, I could see him being lower. Yeah, and she also played in a really quick succession. It was, 32, 34, 38? So, like, I think she is someone who is capable of, like, reflecting and learning from her mistakes. And honestly, forgetting about the mistakes, just, like, she'll be a little bit fresher. And she'll, like, be in, hopefully, a better headspace. Do you think the 49 players will have a chance? I just think they're very disadvantaged connections-wise, but usually one of them makes it far when they have these kinds of players. Brian Heidick would have won if cast. He's such a bad person. The crossbow thing is so sad. Imagine if Rizgod wins. Is everyone just assuming Rizgod's on the cast? Do people know that? Is there some leak I don't know about? I assume he is, right? Or is this just everyone joking because he's in the... We know? So it's Rizgod and then the other person. I saw that list. All right. Again, I'm not going to... I'll just stop there because I don't want to, like, spoil people who care about 49. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty funny. 2-time winner, perhaps. So I've got Aubrey number 1. I'll recap the list. So we start at number 22 with Coach. Basically, he's a joke. 21, Stephanie. She's kind of a bad player who's going to play way too actively and is not connected. Q. She's kind of a chaotic player. Colby. It's been a while. I don't know what dog he's got in him, and if he plays harder, I think he's probably going to be out earlier. Angelina. I have a lot of problems with her as a player, but hopefully I'm wrong because she's fun. Ozzy. He's just going to be a chill dude who probably will make it early merge, but he could go on a run and, would people be willing to vote for Ozzy in the end? That'd be kind of fun. Suri, probably the best player on the board with the least amount, no chance of winning, unfortunately, because of the format and her reputation. Chrissy, I'm worried about just her personality and the way she plays the game. It's what makes her a great character, and it also could make her a very early boot. D, she's a winner, also one of the best players on the board, and everyone knows it, and that could be damaging. Camilla, probably, just coming from the most recent season that people have watched, she would have beaten anyone in the finals. No one's going to forget that. She has an established duo in the game. She's not an asset in pre-merge challenges, really. I could see her getting the boot pretty early. Joe, again, very top of mind. I think he has some things going for him in terms of the loyalty and him losing department. It's just, I don't know if I have that much faith in him as a player and being able to turn his game around that much. Mike White, a weird person to evaluate. Who fucking knows? They won't vote him out early. They won't let him get far. There he is. Rick Devens, he's got the right reputation, the right threat level, all that kind of things. The one thing we don't know is he actually a good player? Probably not. We'll see. Kyle, he's a winner, the most recent winner. That's a problem, but he's also just super amicable socially. He's a big, strong dude for pre-merge challenges. He could bail himself out. He could work with the bros, and he has a couple allies from his season. Genevieve, too big of a threat level for how good of a player she is, even though she is a very good player. I think she just commands so much respect that it could be her downfall. Jenna, we haven't seen her in 20-something years. That's a problem, but she plays really hard, and no one's going to be looking at her too early. Emily Flippin, solid player who is going to have a solid threat level, who has an ally or two on this cast. She's been pre-gaming pretty hard, and I think that's going to set her up quite well. Christian Hubicki, definitely a big threat level, but a lot smaller than it was in years past. Super smart guy, super socially charismatic guy. The danger is his threat level a little too big when it comes to the end game, and will he be able to come off as more chill? Because he just seems so outwardly strategic and dangerous, and you know he'd fucking kill a final tribal. Charlie, huge threat level, but his personality and his playstyle is going to diminish that threat level. He's super well connected. He could very well win. If he gets to the final chairs, I'd be shocked if he didn't. I believe in Charlie on the season. Jonathan, he's just going to make a deep run. He's so well connected on all sides of the board. He's so overwhelmingly strong physically that I think he's going to be carried through the pre-merge by that alone, and I don't think he's the type of player that gets targeted right at the merge. He's just not a big enough strategic presence, and he's not a big enough individual immunity threat, frankly. Tiffany, very Sarah Lacina-esque, strong game, but not the strongest, has a certain respect that people are going to have for her, but she's not a huge threat. The question is, can she learn from her mistakes and improve as a player? Not sure, but I think she stands a decent chance. And Aubrey, who just is probably the best player on the board who has the lowest threat level. Like, Surie's better than her, but has a much bigger threat level. Charlie is, in my opinion, pretty close to her and has a bigger threat level. D is the same. I think she's just in that sweet spot of she's so good at Survivor, and people are not going to be gunning for her super quickly. And I think for that reason, I have Aubrey as my winner pick for Survivor 50. How'd I do? I feel like that ending summary was kind of fire. I don't know. Solid list. All right. I guess Anonymous didn't like this list. Don't rub it in. I don't think the cast is as bad as people say. There's just some kind of confuddling choices. But there's a lot of fun ones. What's up, Keeson? enjoy the break. I can't knock it too hard. All right. I apologize. It's all right. I just want to make sure that the chat is like a safe space for. I just don't like that kind of language of like the women or I don't like that. Where the fuck is Earl? Yeah. Favorite lost character? Benjamin Linus. There's no second answer. Come on. That's anyone else has a different answer. It's embarrassing. But that'll do it. That's the stream. Hour 46 of pure yapping. Or unlikely declined. He was called, though. I'm glad he declined because they would have cut him. No shot he gets on the cast, right? Does anyone think he would have a chance? Knowing out of the cast, they would have cut him for coach. Like, who's better? Best BB player ever or best Survivor player ever? So you're saying, like, here's the problem. Like, if the best Survivor player ever is Tony, I would say Dan's better than Tony. You know what I mean? Like, Big D attempts, not today. But, like, if you want to say Parvati or Dan, I don't know. I think Dan's resume in terms of his 2 games beats most people's Survivor resumes. Thank you, Anonymous. Oh, you don't hate the tier list. I appreciate it. Is Tony the best, though? I'm inclined to put Tony at number 1. I think it's Tony or Parvati, pretty obviously for me. It's Tony, Parvati, and, like, Kim are my top 3. Well, no, it's Tony, Parvati, and Sarah. I think Sarah is really, really close to number 1. I think you could argue Sarah number 1, and I wouldn't have much complaints. Dan's the BB GOAT. That's unambiguous. I think Big Brother is like, there's a clear GOAT. No one's played 2 games that strong. No one's gotten close. How would I balance the tribes? We could do that one day. I think we'll do a Brant Steele one day where we map out all the relationships and everything and the stats, and then we'll divide the tribes in a way that I think is reasonable. Sarah's a fire away from Winners at War. Makes her such a great player. Yeah, I mean, her Game Changers win is one of the best, and then she gets really close to winning Winners at War, which would have been a really impressive win. And her first game is not as bad as Tony's, second game. Like, she went out early merge, not second. Cody and Dan have the same resume placements. Yeah, but I'm talking about games themselves, not... And Cody, in my opinion, is the second best Big Brother player of all time, but we don't got to get into that. I know y'all are not fans of that opinion. Will better than both. It's nice to have a boomer in chat. I appreciate you, Giesling. Oh my god, I'm entering your domain tomorrow, traders, on the Reddit AMA. I'm worried. If Sarah and Tony were both in Final 3, who wins? Tony, right? Cody's a very good BB player. He's very good, and the new format aids him even more. But that'll do it. I'm going to get offline. I appreciate you guys for hanging. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss the AMA. It'll be a Big Brother 25, 26 future Big Brother talk, probably. I assume that's the type of questions I'll be asked. So if you're into that, be there. If not, fuck off. Is Quinn still live? Is he still vibing? All right. Big Brother 30 in the hands of the fans. Yeah, that's pretty good. No asking you Dan or Will stuff. You could ask. I'll answer.